Okay, so this is Dan Hedrington with SEH, Senior Project Manager for the Meridian Davis Refinery project.
And as we're speaking right now with Mr. Dan Hedrington, we just got some good news this morning, and so I wanted to get Dan on the phone to talk about hot off the press, if you will, that there's been a development in the Davis Refinery, one that has apparently been anticipated for a long time. So Dan, I'll let you kind of break that news a little bit on what exactly is the latest on the Davis Refinery out in Belfield, North Dakota.
Oh, excellent, Jason. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, it's a very exciting day. Today we received our permit to construct. That's our air permit through the North Dakota Department of Health Air Quality Division. And yeah, it's been a very long process, and we're very excited and grateful to have received it. This process started a long time ago. I mean, to the tune of, we started communications with the department probably 18 months ago, and went back and forth a bunch of times, worked on just the permit itself and what we were requesting and the equipment that is going to be utilized. I went through a public comment period, a public hearing, asking for people's input from all over the place, and things actually came together very, very well. The state of North Dakota has done a tremendous job reviewing these documents and confirming and verifying that not only what equipment is being proposed to be used, but how much emissions comes off the individual components and how it all blends together and how it models and what happens with the airflow and just everything that goes on with what you can imagine with any potential airflow coming from a facility. And it's all gone very, very well, extremely well. And today we received that permit. So thank you for that. It's an exciting day. We're very happy.
And just to recap, it is a permit to construct, and that came from the Air Quality Division from the North Dakota Health Department?
That's correct. People will refer to it as the PTC, but that is exactly what you said. It's a permit to construct. So what happens is, just to kind of give you a little heads up, now we have the ability to construct the facility, and then once we commission it and we start operating it, that's when you're refining or tweaking all of the components and making sure they function well and making sure everything is working properly, and then you get a permit to operate after things are up and functioning and they all of the emissions meet the requirements and what was allowed in the permit. So yeah, it's very exciting.
So what is the next step then? Of course, I hear permit to construct. I think, well, time to construct. So, I know that it's easier said than done because, you got to get workers and you got to get, I don't know, is there other red tape you got to get through here?
Well, yeah, there is. But I mean, it's just stuff that I would consider, cost of doing business, general kind of things that need to be finalized. I'll give you some examples. So when we received our zoning approvals and our conditional use permit through Billings County, North Dakota, also a group who really reviewed our applications and our process and the visual impacts and the other impacts that this facility is going to have on the surrounding area, did an amazing job. That they're planning and zoning people out there, and then their county commission. They did see that it was important to them to put a few conditions on the project, things like bonding and the different agreements that we have to have in place. We have to have hauling agreements and where we're taking, how we're bringing in our material, and how it's all going to be handled, and things like that need to be done. We still need to get a few different little items in place to make that happen. But this has been kind of the, excuse my terminology, kind of the big dog. This is the big permit that everybody's been kind of watching and saying, okay, if you guys can get your air permit, that's the big catch on this thing, to make sure that you can meet all of those stringent thresholds and the allowable levels of emissions. Once that's in place, these other ones will fall into place actually, very, very well. And we're working with the appropriate parties that we'll need to get their approval for right now. So today's been a great day. a lot of activity, a lot of people excited, and we're doing a lot of different things so that we can start construction as soon as possible.
So there's just a few more things left. It just sounds like that molding and shaping and, like you mentioned, kind of the operational things that basically what I heard is no big surprises, no red flags, right. That, it should be back to the normal course. Whereas the air quality permit to construct, that was the big one, like you mentioned. There was some wild cards in there, and there was some technology that needed to be vetted, and there was some, call it new theories, if you will, that needed to make sure it could be applicable in the energy industry coming from a different industry. And I'm just going off the top of my head a little bit. Talk to me a little bit about, if you wouldn't mind recapping some of the things that you guys did and some of the conversations that were had through this whole air quality permit, because that was a very important permit for the state of North Dakota. And now that they've granted it, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you guys did to make this happen.
So, and I appreciate that. So there was actually a lot of different things that we did to work with the state to give them the confidence that everything we were proposing was not only appropriate, but very, very workable. So, people say, well, it's brand new technology and it's highly advanced, and which is all true, by the way. It's all stuff that is all being brought together in a unique form to this project. But I do want to make sure that everybody understands that it's not like somebody just thought up this type of technology this week and put it on the table and said we're going to make it work. This is stuff that's been used in different industries and different applications and different locations for a fair amount of time. What happened with the Meridian project is the Meridian design team said, hang on, we can grab this technology that was used here, and we can grab this technology that was used in this other location. We can combine those here. At that point, it for our emission levels, it does this for our production levels, it reduces emissions. So we're using proven technologies in unique manners. So we're bringing it all together for this project. So what was nice about that is the state goes, okay, we like that, we understand that. Now, you still have to prove it. You have to give justification for that. So here's this particular type of equipment, and here's the application it was used in, and here's how, the emission levels that those had. So obviously, as you can imagine with a refinery, there's thousands and thousands of components and pieces and parts of this thing. So big picture-wise is that we use proven technologies from other areas, other locations, other applications, brought it into this project and put it all together, and it's very beautiful. I mean, it's really cool project that we think is going to be an industry changer. We're excited about it, and we're confident that all of these levels can be met. And what it boils down to, it agrees with us. They came back and said, yeah, we think you guys are going to, you guys are on the right path, and you guys are proposing the right project, and we approve of it. So here's your permit, build it. So it's kind of fun.
Now, this might get, you can tell me to mind my own business, but just curious, was there anything that from when you guys started to when you got the permit to construct that changed at all, whether it be a little tweak or maybe something very dramatically had to be changed? Or was it pretty much you guys had the idea from the get-go?
So the main concept, the main ideas from the get-go were constant. So those were throughout the entire project. But yes, things were changed through the process. In the beginning, some of our original submittals, you may recall, Jason, that we went through and we made amendments. And because, as everybody was digging into this, some questions were asked, well, what if we did this and what if we did that to make it even better? So we went back and we changed things to reduce emissions even more. Now, in our original application, from the get-go, is the way you worded it, we believe we would have met all the allowable thresholds anyway. We would have been able to get our permit, but the direction from the CEO, Bill Prentice, was if you find opportunities to reduce them even more, I want to apply those technologies or utilize those opportunities to make it even a smaller emissions levels. So yes, we went through and we made amendments through the process that were significant, that were able to reduce our emissions even more.
Dan Hedrington with SEH, short Elliot Hendrickson, the senior project manager on the Meridian Davis Refinery, or Meridian Energy spearheading the Davis Refinery, probably is the more correct way to say it. Just a couple questions here with you. You guys got your permit to construct from the North Dakota Health Department. I wanted to ask you about the technology on the Davis Refinery. From my understanding, the first greenfield refinery built in the United States, meaning, from top to bottom, United States, full-on refinery. That's correct so far, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. By the way, I like that you clarified full-blown refinery. There have been other refineries that are considered things like topping plants and stuff like that, where maybe they just do products like diesel or something like that. This is the first full-blown, all-out refinery in a very, very long time. It's been decades, and that's exciting too. What's really interesting, Jason, is this is what's, I don't know, to me so wonderful about this project is this. The oil and gas industry has come a long way. It's tremendous how much oil we can get out of the Bakken, how much, all of this activity. You look back from the 70s, what kind of, what the technologies have allowed us to do in the state of North Dakota, just the state alone, let alone the nation and the world. These advanced technologies, how far we've come along with technology and, protecting the environment at so many levels, and making sure we reduce emissions and make sure we reduce impacts to waterways and things like that. These technologies are all being applied to a brand new project. This is going to be the cleanest thing that I've ever seen when it comes to refineries. It's going to be, just very exciting. I know that, people that we know that look at it from the environmental perspective are excited about it, because we really do believe that this is a game changer for the industry, and it's going to show them, what can be done to reduce emissions or minimize those emissions, and still have a good amount of product run through and throughput. And it's an exciting project to be involved with, and it's a lot of fun.
To me, one of the more exciting parts of the technology use is the application of old technology by using new technology to figure it out. What I mean by that is some of the things that you guys have going on the landscaping side with the native foliage, and some of the, even to, I guess, from a distance, be able to kind of create a berm of trees or something like that in order to kind of create a better aesthetic feel towards it. But working with the universities and working with some of the different folks, where, as well as I do, they're using computer programs to figure this stuff out in order to become so easy. And that's a side of technology I think a lot of people overlook. And a lot of that moving of nature to create its own ecosystem, or biosphere, if you will, permaculture, really is kind of old school becoming new school technology. Did you guys ever come across that at all through the process?
Oh my gosh, everything you said is right down the alley of this project. So it's interesting. We've been thrilled with the response that we've received from, UND or NDSU. There's been, there's opportunities out here to do so many different projects that improve, let's say, habitat and things like that in the area. You're absolutely right with the screening projects that are being considered around the perimeter berms, plantings and things like that, but also habitat for bees, and different types of insects and different types of vegetation that are needed in this area, that this project has the ability to develop. So there's also, some opportunities to utilize geothermal and other technologies that are readily available for this project, that the universities have been able to point out to us with our meetings and saying, this should be a learning opportunity in this field, or we could use this as a learning opportunity in that field. And what's great about it is Bill Prentice and the Meridian leadership team all about that. That's what they want. That's what they want to be, not only the most advanced technology, but also the most environmental type project that they can possibly be. We've been meeting with the universities for some time. We've been looking at all these different habitats and different kind of opportunities, and it's going to be fun to try to incorporate as much of that as possible into the project.
Any final thoughts? Anything that we left out? It sounds like we're going to be talking with Mr. William Prentice next week about some of the impacts and implications, and I imagine I'll ask him about the target logistics, letter of intent, and that sort of thing. I don't know if that's outside your wheelhouse or what, but any final thoughts, anything that we didn't mention or want to reiterate, or any of those topics you want to take on a new direction?
Jason, I think that, to me, if there was something that I would like to at least mention is this. The tremendous amount of support that we received from the locals in that area, the governing officials, the elected officials, the ranchers, and the people that live in the town that have supported this project have been amazing. When it comes to issues that are dear to their hearts that we agree with completely, personal property rights and things like that, and the development of projects like this one is a big deal. And we are so much looking forward to working with everybody in the area and everybody throughout the state to just make good things happen. That means jobs. That means, increased, hopefully the potential for increased revenues for the communities and the counties and things like that. But just everything that comes with building a project of this scale. And it's very exciting to be a part of it.